How would the doubling of interest rates over the past few years and thought viruses connect? In a great passage of scripture that shows the same tactics being used thousands of years ago. Good morning and welcome to the Shielded Prepper. This channel is committed to bringing you information that expands a prepared mind. Good morning, everybody. We talked about yesterday, we have 10 days of beautiful weather here in Western Washington, and we intend on taking full advantage of this opportunity to prepare our homes. We're working on gardening, and if you aren't gardening right now, try it. Teach yourself this summer. It'll bless you. Two stories out of the Wall Street Journal that have a strange dichotomy, yet there is some similarities as to what their effects are like on each other. The first one, the home buyer's quandary. Nobody's selling. Interest rates have decimated the velocity of transactions. It has limited families' ability to be agile and to move for opportunity. For instance, better location for schools or better paying employment or work, or just the sheer expansion of a home size if you have a growing family. This is an oppressive way that the government can use interest rates as leverage to hold you down. And we know this. We hear this constantly. We talk about this and we pound this drum. And today we're going to connect it in a little bit different way. Let's read a little bit. Many Americans who want to move are trapped in their homes. Let's talk about what the word trapped means. You can't go anywhere. You have to stay. In this case, they have the freedom to leave. They know this, yet they're trapped economically. And if they choose to leave, if they choose to sell their homes to buy another one, either a larger one or a different location, or they have to go, the punishment is severe. The punishment is an economic punishment, and it is severe. These golden handcuffs are keeping the supply of home sales unusually low and making the market more competitive and pricey than forecasters ever expected. Supply and demand. Right now, there is a segment of the population that must sell and they must buy. They do not have an option and they'll have to do it at any cost. This group that is being required to purchase right now and to sell their home, these are the ones that will be in a group of the highest percentage that will foreclose in the near future. These interest rates are burying families, and they know it, and they're hip to it, and they know what's coming, and some of them can't wait. They can't wait. They have to go now. Military, for instance, they PCS to another base. They have to go. They have to go. Emily and Isaac Natz of College Grove, Minnesota, had a baby last year and desired a bigger place. When you get 4 people in our 2-bedroom apartment, it feels like a large crowd, he said. The type of home that they're looking for right now is going from a 2-bedroom condo that they have a 3.4% interest rate, which is a really excellently low interest rate. They desired a 3 or 4 bedroom single family home with a backyard, someplace for their children to be able to play outside and have a dog and to have a traditional, American family life. Yet the type of home that they desired to purchase in the community that they currently live was over $1,100 more per month than what they're paying right now. And Mr. Nat says that they don't feel comfortable paying what they believe is an inflated price. And it is inflated. It's been inflating for years. Yet the interest rates, aside from the cost of homes, has exacerbated this. And this is a tactic used to squash movement. This is a tactic used. As of March 31st of this year, nearly 2/3 of primary mortgages had interest rates below 4%. The average today of a 30-year fixed mortgage, 6.4%. This is an uncomfortable number, and it may not seem much. If you don't own a home, you may not understand. If you own a home, you understand. And if you like to do calculations, all you have to do is take your mortgage and multiply it by 0.0 the interest rate. So in this case here, it would be 0.064% equals, and it's going to give you a number, and you divide that by 12, and that's the amount of interest that you're paying annually on that mortgage. And all of this increased interest is not going into the economy. It's not going into extracurricular activities. It's not going into the investing. It's not going into savings. It's going into the pockets of the banks, regardless of how they're struggling. We have to have eyes wide open right now. Home builders are seeing an accelerated consumption of their product. A third of homes are being sold new construction, when historical averages is below 20%, really 10 to 20% is new construction. Right now they're a third. Because they're fixed prices, there's not as much competition. There's a lot of opportunity going there. They're more expensive, yet they're brand new, and the interest rates are just as high. There's just not enough listings for people to choose. Many have such little desire to move because of interest rates that they're saving and they're expanding their current home, and there's going to be a remodeling surge over the sale price. So many remodelers out there, there's going to be a period of time over the next little bit for you to hustle, because if this market breaks in a way that's irrecoverable, maybe something that we couldn't expect, maybe another, you get it, that could happen again. It could happen as easily again as it happened this last time, and it'll be done more efficiently, effectively, and it'll have a greater cut. It's going to cut deeper. All of that to say, this is a way for us to, for the government to keep the population trapped. And because we are a free country, we can't openly persecute people like communist countries. We have to use contracts. We have to use leverage of interest rates and economic persecution. Well, if you travel over the sea, over the Pacific Ocean a couple hours, and you land in the center of this giant country that's the manufacturing heartbeat of the world. This is a communist country, and we know this is China. And this article, it stirs my spirit because it's very similar to what's happening here in a different way. It's more violent in our mind, yet it's similar. Beijing ramps up repression of faith, labeling believers, not Christians, believers that have a faith in a higher power, as carriers of thought viruses. The Chinese Communist Party, or the CCP, has ramped up its repression of all faiths while labeling believers as people affected with thought viruses. Thought viruses. Instead of making improvements in the Chinese government's treatment of people of faith, people of belief, they have been ratcheting up and turning this regime into a genocidal regime. And it's been happening for decades. Neil Turkel, who's the chair of the U.S. Commission of International Religious Freedom, so we're going to hear about Mr. Turkel, was sharing in this interview, and he said they have been ruthlessly prosecuting religious groups. Persecuting. They have been ruthlessly persecuting religious groups, including Muslims, Buddhists, Christians, and this particular practitioners of the Falun Gong, and added that the human rights situation and religious freedom situation in China has significantly deteriorated over the last year. So all these decades have been building up, and it's been more severe this last year. It's uncomfortable to read this because this is happening right now. And it's not a couple thousand. It's not tens of thousands. It's millions that have been persecuted. The Chinese government publicly and openly labels people of faith. If you believe in something greater than the CCP, they're going to label you with mental illness. And it says in some sort of people who they're labeling people as having some sort of mental illness who were affected with a thought virus, and it's a contagion in China is what they're positioning this as. They talk about this Falun Gong group, and between 70 and 100 million people have been oppressed in China over principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. This is the foundation of many faiths, is being able to live humble and meek lives. Regardless of what we believe is wrong or right, I know I have my convicted beliefs, and I believe them to be right and true. Yet many people around the world desire those same things because it's buried deep inside of us in our souls, and it comes from the Father. He's the owner and creator of them all. He's owner and creator of them all. So deep inside, we have this yearning to worship a higher power. And many of us are awakening. We're opening our eyes and we're seeing these things. Millions of Falun Gong adherents have been detained in prisons, labor camps, and other facilities, and hundreds of thousands have been subjected to severe torture and incarcerated and had their organs harvested. That's what's happening right now. In our world, they are taking this group that's persecuted, and they're collecting their organs and they're selling them on the black market. And China's doing this right now. This is the window of time. If this is severely and significantly ramped up in China over the last year, when it's been happening for decades prior, yet it's severely ramped up now, what's it going to look like over the next 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 years? How much more is coming? There's a great passage in Scripture, and understand that interest rates and the compression and trapping people and keeping them in prison with financial slavery, as well as persecuting them under a government control, is very similar to this leader, this country, this jewel of the earth at the time, which was Egypt, and the power that the pharaohs held over the slaves that built much of that country, which was the Jewish people, the Hebrews. This is out of Exodus chapter 5, verse 6. And this will really bless you to understand why this is important for governments to think like this, because much of it is evil and it's reprobate, and it's all about power and pride and authority. So the same day, Pharaoh commanded the taskmasters, the ones that mastered the tasks decreed by the Pharaoh, of the people and of their officers, saying, "You shall no longer give the people straw to make bricks as before." That was their role. They were expanding so quickly, both as a people group, the Hebrews as a people group, as well as the population of Egypt. There was a lot of wealth during that time that came from a Hebrew, Joseph, one of the 12 tribes or 12 sons of Jacob, set this place up, set Pharaoh up, this new Pharaoh that didn't know who Joseph was. He came after that time, yet he put all of these Hebrews in slavery. Let them go and gather straw for themselves, and you shall lay on them the same quota of bricks for which they made before, and you shall not reduce it. So here's what they're saying. You will work harder and you will do the same. These interest rates, you will pay more for the same. You will work harder to have the same. In China, you are not allowed to serve or to think outside of what we say. You can do what we say, and if you don't, we're going to penalize you the same way we have for generations, for decades, and this is only going to increase. Remember, leadership has to maintain control through fear, doubt, and worry. And if you know anything about the sword, we know that fear, doubt, and worry is not from our Father. It's not. It is an attack, and it's deployed from the deepest, darkest areas. And they know that our hearts desire protection, provision, peace, unity, and community. That's what we're looking for. And right now, for those of us that are shielding ourselves and we're perceiving these events that are coming with a prudent eye, wake up. We have to continue to wake up. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do. Let's send this to somebody that should hear this. And if you haven't sent this, pick one person that you know this potentially could land on good soil. Encourage them. Send them content, whether through this channel or all of the others. You get to choose to do that. Be seed sowers right now. We don't know who this is going to help. Just like these words coming out of my mouth to whoever's listening right now, I don't know where this is going to land. Some may land on rocky soil and never grow, and they will move on and are simple-minded, and they'll deal with that as they go. And then some of us are going to receive it, and we're going to produce 30 and 50 and 100 and fold more. Help those in your community right now, those in your circle. Encourage them and lift them up. It'll bless them. You guys, have an awesome day. I really enjoy coming in here and sharing for this. I love reading in the morning and educating myself and increasing my own personal wisdom. And thank you for allowing me to have a platform to be able to encourage you. Everybody, citizens of YouTube, the Shielded Prepper's out, and I'll see you tomorrow.